Welcome to a Bestow TV production. If you enjoy our content, please click the subscribe button. To get notifications of new releases, ring that bell. Thank you, and away we go.
Bestow Productions presents Creative Continuity at Baltimore Comic Con 2013. Get the latest news directly from your favorite artists, writers, and a few surprises. Tune in for Creative Continuity's coverage of Baltimore Comic Con. We bring the convention to you.
We're here at Baltimore Comic Con with superstar artist David Finch. How'd you decide, now that it's been announced, now that it's out in the open that you left JLA for Forever Evil, how did you go about deciding to make that switch?
I was actually already attached to Forever Evil originally, and I came off of Batman early to do Justice League of America. It was a little bit more of a later kind of, I don't want to say a last-minute decision, but a little bit closer to that. So I already knew that I would be doing a very short run on JLA and then moving on to Forever Evil.
Were you comfortable doing that, or were you kind of, not comfortable with kind of the switch up of artists kind of on the book?
Oh, sure, yeah, I was comfortable. I mean, I was ready to work with Jeff Johns. I was excited about it, and, it was an opportunity to just start, right then, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. And it really, it was a way to jump in with both feet into, the center of everything that he's doing at DC.
How's it different illustrating? I mean, you're illustrating heroes versus villains, but how's it aesthetically different illustrating a book that has such a darkness to it, like Forever Evil versus JLA?
I have a tendency to draw a little dark, really, kind of no matter what I'm doing, so that's always kind of a reality of any book that I do. But yeah, this one, it's, it really comes down to the script, and I can draw a lighter scene with, happier characters, just not very well, so I feel like the more a script goes dark and it gets a little evil like this book is, it's I feel like I'm doing better work doing it. I feel more comfortable doing this kind of work. So yeah, it's been good.
How do you feel about having Lex Luthor at the center of the story for Jeff's new story that he's telling?
I think he's the obvious choice. If you're going to have a story with villains in the DC universe, Lex Luthor is going to be right in the center of that, and he's going to be leading the charge. Who's
been your favorite character to draw thus far of the pantheon of that splash page you have of every villain almost? Who's been maybe your...
my favorite character to draw in this whole thing really is Lex Luthor. And then I would have to say Bizarro. And then from the spread, Johnny Quick from the Crime Syndicate. I love that character.
Coming up in the story, it's obviously Lex Luthor, but what makes him, do you think, the obvious choice for the story?
He's a bit of an evil guy, obviously. I mean, he's a bit of a sociopath, I think, really. But as much as he wants to exploit the world and turn everything to his own ends, I think he looks at something like the Crime Syndicate coming in and all the lawlessness that's happening and really like effectively an emperor coming and taking over the world. This is not a positive thing for a character like Lex Luthor, and I think also that he saw himself as he's like the alpha man of the universe. Lex Luthor, he's the smartest guy and he's physically fit, and he's the guy that should be in charge. And then all these superheroes come along and they completely knock him off that perch. Now all of a sudden, there's Superman. How is he going to compete with that? But right now, Superman's gone and the Justice League's gone, and this is like his chance to go in there and kick some ass and take over himself. And I think that's kind of where he is in his head. And, the story will show how successful he is at doing that, but I think that's where he fits in.
How do characters, some of Jeff's favorite characters like Sinestro and, guys like him kind of feel about that? I mean, I'm sure Sinestro's not the type of villain, Captain Cold, the Rogues, these types of villains who would necessarily bow to.
Of course, yeah. Really, all the villains, from the largest, most powerful to the smallest, kind of pickpockety sort of guys, they all are devious and mistrustful, and even their closest friends they don't really trust. So it makes it incredibly difficult for any group of characters to really get together and actually do anything effective, because they're more worried about the guy beside him than the guy that they're supposed to be facing. So it makes for some really interesting dynamics.
Now there's a somewhat of a villain, but he's not necessarily a villain, named Batman. He's been appearing on some of the comics. What role is he going to play in without giving away anything? I know you probably don't want to do that, but...
Well, actually, at the end of the story, it turns out that Batman is a Skrull. I have no idea. Honestly, I really don't know. I don't know what Batman's role is yet. I know where I am in the story, but I really don't know what the plan is for Batman, and I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
But wouldn't he be the type of guy, Bruce Wayne?
I'm going to tell you the truth. I honestly don't know.
You don't know?
I really don't know.
Because you're probably just drawing the cowl and everything. And
that's right. So far, I've been drawing. Yeah, I don't know. And there are certain story things like that I would actually prefer not to know. I like to know. Awesome, yeah. I like to know the story as I'm drawing, and it makes me feel like I'm experiencing it rather than just knowing the whole story all the way through. And and then it gets more like it takes away some of that energy.
I just want to talk about Catwoman for a second because she was in your JLA run and now she's in. How does her transition as a character transition from almost being a hero in JLA now to being back to more of a villainy role? How does that transition maybe come about?
You know what? That's really, I think that's much more encompassed in her own book and Justice League of America right now. So I'm kind of more dealing right now with the ramifications of where she is now rather than, I guess, her journey to get there.
What can you tease for fans coming up in the next couple issues?
Well, issue 1, we already turned Dick Grayson's whole life upside down, and there's really no coming back from that. It's not going to be some alternate reality that people are just going to forget. So,
how did you feel about doing that, by the way?
I thought it was great. I think some of the most upsetting and toughest things that you can do, if the publisher has the guts, and Dan Didio certainly does, to do those kind of things, that's what keeps the stories interesting. It's when things get really static that it starts to lose its energy. So I thought it was absolutely great.
Why did it have to be Dick, though? What about his character maybe really pulls him into the forefront?
I think he's a character that really resonates with people. He's a very popular character, and it can't just be a character that people don't care about. Otherwise, it's cheap. So, we did it in issue 1 right out of the gate because I think we really wanted to make it as clear as possible that issue 2, you don't know what's going to come, and it could be worse. And issue 3, and we're not waiting until the end of this long arc to spring out one little surprise. It really is, a series of game-changing, earth-shaking events going on as the story goes along.
Are there going to be any specific characters beyond Dick that are uniquely affected by...
Absolutely.
Can you name any? Can you tease any of them?
I can't at all, I'm sorry. But yes, definitely, this will very negatively affect, and maybe very positively affect other characters that are important in the DC universe.
What else can you tell maybe some fans of certain characters coming up?
I'm sorry. I apologize. But we're doing what we have to do here. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it.
So you're just going to destroy all these characters'
That's right.
lives?
Yeah, we're just tearing it all apart.
You sometimes look at Lex and think, I want that power suit.
All the time.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And this has been Tommy Zimmer for Creative Continuity, signing off. He survived the events of Trinity War. Is this maybe Bruce Wayne?
I have no comment.
Watch Creative Continuity, Costunes, Con Rewind, Mr. Lobo Does, and more on this channel.
Creative Continuity. We bring the convention to you.